Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tesla Life number what? 121. Here we are, the 30th of October, almost Halloween, and ready to do another show. And joining me as normal from the mid section of the country on the Atlantic coast, Mr. Casey Green joins us. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. Very good. Good to see you got that great bookshelf behind you. That looks fabulous. Look at that. Man, talk about organization.
Now I just got to put books on it. Find the box with the books and load them up.
Exactly. Before we even start the show this week, I'd like to reach out and say thank you to Mr. Lee Moon, who provides our show music, and I've neglected to say thank you for the last couple episodes. Lee, apologize for that, but thanks very much for the theme music for the show. This week, we've got a ton of news as per usual, and we'll start. The first story being about the Model Y getting ready for early production summer of 2020. Of course, the earnings call was happening during our broadcast last week, and we got a few bits of information, but we did want to mention this point again, was that Model Y was mentioned by Elon to be ahead of schedule. And instead of late 2020 for the production start at Fremont, it's been noted that they believe that they're going to have something available summer of 2020. I guess that would be the end of the second quarter. In between, that would be the third quarter then. Some point in the third quarter. And of course, knowing Tesla time, it's probably not going to be the beginning of summer or the middle of summer. It may be the end of summer. But man, if it hits summer at all, I know some people with orders that are going to be darn happy it's done so. So that's great to hear that Model Y will start to be in production. And of course, we have gotten those reports and photos of different Model Ys driving around the Bay Area, as well as expanded areas, even spotted in Canada. They are obviously testing a number of different models out there to see how they're performing, and if any design changes, or not design, but any minor changes might be required before production begins.
Yeah, I would say under 100 units sometime in the summer.
Under 100 units. Okay. That's a pretty low bar, isn't it? Yes, 100 units. But now, Casey, if they started and did 100 units,
it would be 1 day's production.
Would you expect those to be sold to the public?
Yes.
Okay. So, or would that just be, say, internal employees that would buy those vehicles?
They would be people who could then turn around and resell them at some point in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. Even if they are employees.
All right. So a low VIN would enable that. You think it's advantageous to have a low VIN in a new vehicle, and makes it worth more.
Yeah, but not to flip them, but like literally, hey, when you're done with this, it's yours. It doesn't belong to Tesla. You can sell it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. And then something else along that line is the article that we sourced mentioned that the Semi is on track, and didn't mention, but I want to throw it out there that you have one more full day to buy full self-drive.
Yes,
in
that's
countries
right.
that have smart summon before the price goes up $1,000.
Exactly. So if you're considering it, it's time to make your mind up now. Before midnight tomorrow, I would believe Pacific time. But man, don't even wait to that. If you're going to make your decision, make it now and order now. If that is the case. Otherwise, you're right. The price goes up.
So if you've already got the car, log into tesla.com/your account, and if you don't have a car yet, use one of our codes and get it. What are you waiting for?
Absolutely. Next story, Casey's going to talk a little bit about Starship.
So Teslarati is reporting that the Starship MK1 will likely test its skydiver landing profile this year, before the end of the year, which is super exciting because the Starship is going to come in kind of like a belly flop the whole way through until it is ready to start its landing burn. And to be able to test that this year means that they're ahead of schedule there as well, which is a blast.
Yeah, so that means that Starship is with this new belly flop maneuver, or as they call skydive. This large rocket is going to, I guess, get a lot closer to Earth before it hits the retro rockets to straighten it out and to help with the landing. So it's basically going to come in hard against the atmosphere and use all the air it can from the atmosphere to do the braking. And then as it gets closer to the ground, the rockets are fired, it'll straighten out and then drop and actually land on the legs. So this is going to be a maneuver that's going to look far different than what we've been seeing with the Falcon 9s as they come in and perform an entry burn. And then you see the little paddles on top are flipping, flopping away, and they've got cold fusion jets blowing to push the top correctly. And then it burns, I believe, a couple times before it hits the ground. It does a higher end burn, and then when it gets down closer to the ground, it does the final burn for landing.
Sometimes it doesn't do the one at the top, depending on how much fuel.
I haven't seen that. I've only seen the two burns, I believe, watching it. But definitely this new one, which is supposed to happen before the end of this year. Yes. And they haven't got long. That's only 2 months away. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, that's the Mk1 rocket too. It's not the full space rocket. This one's going to be shot in the atmosphere for a test, obviously, and then perform this skydive. So that is going to be worth watching, definitely.
And yet again, it manages to change shape between the last time we saw it, and the little fins that he was going to have at the top are now much larger fins, and the landing gear is the legs are not going to be on the fins; they're going to be at the base of the rocket.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's again this. I guess this design is in flux at all times. It seems to be that they're making changes rapidly with even with one that's already built. They go and modify the fins. Yeah. So very interesting. Very interesting. Next story. I want to talk a little bit about SentryMode again, which, man, this stuff never gets old. I don't know what it is, but it seems that vandals and criminals cannot get enough of SentryMode or their faces posted on it because this past article that we quoted in our Twitter feed, and actually, if you don't know what that is, that's at the Tesla Life. You can follow us along there as well. But it was implemented by a gentleman, curiously enough, his last name is Justice, and Mr. Justice got his car scratched up, posted the photo or the video of SentryMode of this person scratching up his car, and asked his Twitter followers to help him out and get it posted on social media, which they did. And they had great success because in under a week, they had the people viewing this had gotten who this person was. They had posted the name, and this person got the, I guess they got prompted by somebody to go look at this. It was them. They turned themselves into police, and they have been charged with a crime. So again, SentryMode is proving invaluable. It just would help us all out if the criminals and vandals would realize that, you know what, you're probably going to get caught, so why do it anyways in the first place?
That's right. I thought most of the way through the article, I thought it was an actual judge, but it was the name Justice.
His name was Justice, yeah. So Mr. Justice got some justice in the end, and great to see. And let's hope it deters some others from doing the same act in the future.
We can only hope.
Exactly. The next story is one about a software update that's coming for true one-pedal driving. So an update apparently is coming from Tesla that's going to allow when you take your foot off the accelerator to not only regen brake, but actually come right down to a dead stop will be the modification. And again, Casey, what do you think? This probably will be an option as to whether or not you want to stop, I would guess.
Of course, of course.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it, though.
So this, of course, would allow a driver just to time when he's taking his foot off the accelerator, understanding where he needs to stop, maybe stop sign, maybe stop light, maybe behind a car, and they could basically allow the car to stop itself if they've got the timing right. And there are a few cars out there that do that currently, and it's just it becomes a question of timing. I know with my Model 3 that I've got the timing down pretty good, that the regen brake will take me down to almost a stop, and I'm just tapping on the brake at the last few feet to make sure that I'm at a complete stop in that line of traffic or wherever I am. But this will be an addition that will allow us to just let the car do the braking completely.
I think they were tired of me sitting there at the stoplight with the brake off and the lights off.
So that would be that'd be kind of cool. Just letting the car do it completely by itself. Again, there's no real danger in this operation at all. It just because of course you can certainly tap on the brake at any point if your timing's off or as circumstances change in that braking pattern for whatever reason. But
in fact, it's safe. Because if you're like me and you use no creep,
yep.
And then you don't push the brakes when you're done because it's flat and level and there's no wind or whatever, now you've got lights on showing that, hey, this car is there and it's stopped. Pay attention, Texter.
Pay attention, Texter, yes. So obviously, as you say, Casey, you will use this option when it comes immediately.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'll try it out, and then if I like it, I'll keep it. And if I don't like it, I'll try it like a whole week, and then I'll end up liking it, and I'll be fine.
You're going to force yourself to like it, is what you're telling me.
Probably.
I will certainly give it a try as soon as it's available as well. It sounds like a cool option to be added to the vehicle.
I wonder if it's going to force you to use no creep. Because if you take your foot off the accelerator,
because there would be no creep then, right?
Yeah,
because
if you have creep on, it would start moving again.
Exactly. So you can probably it's going to be you probably will only be able to activate it if creep is off, I would think.
That or it'll start moving again.
Exactly, which wouldn't be good, because if you were planning on it stopping and then it creeps forward, no, that would ruin it. They should make it an if then but statement that you've got to have that creep off before you can enable the one pedal. Or
they'll do a California rolling stop and then start.
Yeah, California rolling start. Everybody. It's not just California.
Yeah, or they could do they could use the AI and see that there's a red light in front of you. They already are tracking that, or stop sign, and then the car in front of you hasn't moved yet, and then just hold it. And when they're gone, you better be ready because it's in halfway autopilot.
Exactly. Yeah, more 1 foot driving, no foot driving in that case. But our next discussion is about Tesla's stock value taking a jump after the recent earnings call. And Casey's got that for us.
Oh, I do. I was like, okay. Oh man. So there it is. I misplaced that one. This one is the that's why you titled it different than I was expecting. So after Tesla stock closed, after the short sellers were burned to the tune of $1.8 billion?
Yeah, 1.4, 1.5, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yes. Tesla was then closed to be the most valuable U.S. automaker, ahead of GM again.
So it jumped ahead of GM once again. This is a position it's been in the past, but it's regained this title recently.
Yeah, they tend to do a decent job of holding on to it too. Let's see where they're at today.
Yeah, where are they sitting today?
They're at $315 and a penny.
$3.15.
And after
Okay.
hours, they're $3.15 and 6 cents.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they or continue to reign that position, if that will be what they will be sitting in for some time. Before, when they dropped sub 275, I believe was the number previously when they dropped below GM. That was like, what, 8 months ago or something along that line. It was some time ago.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if the good news that came out of Q3, if it continues into Q4 and beyond, then there's no real reason for any drop unless something catastrophic was to happen. But
Right.
under normal circumstances, if they can just keep making some profit and hitting those Wall Street numbers or above, like Q3, then we should see them in the driver's seat for quite some time.
Yeah, and if they continue to stay self-funded, I know Russell didn't like that term, but if you look at from when he claimed it, not he, Russell, but Elon, they were self-funded that quarter. So the money they received from China for Giga 3 had already been accounted at that point. So yes, from that point, they were self-funded and paying back their loans. Tesla is a company that is sometimes late, but has
And
generally
has some
made good.
large loans too, don't they?
Yeah, they have some large ones. The bigger they are, the earlier they seem to pay. But sometimes they seem to like just misplace some of the other ones. But they make good, which is important. So I think that will reward them in the marketplace because who doesn't like profit, especially when they don't need to go out and do another stock raise. And I saw speculation that they might make another consecutive record for the next quarter if they were able to continue to execute like they have been.
Yeah, and it was surprise really, was the profit per vehicle is what really took off in the last quarter. It went from a 18 point something percent to a 22 point something percent. So that caught a lot of people off guard and certainly allowed Tesla to collect more profits to put into the bank. So
Yeah, and that's where they like to stay. I mean, 25% is where he likes for the Model S and Model X, and then anywhere from 20 to 25% for the Model 3. And it just goes to show that, if you give them time to work on it, they'll get it right back where it was built to be.
Exactly. Well, another bit of software, I guess, magic is coming as well, because Elon announced that there's going to be a bit of a power boost for Model 3, Model S, and Model X.
Yep.
He indicated in a post in this Teslarati article that quoted that there's going to be a 5% boost for all of the Model 3s, and apparently about a 3% boost in power for Model S and Model X.
I hope that
So
includes
that,
the performance brand.
yeah. So it certainly is interesting to see that Tesla is continuing to shuffle the deck of what they've got, examining the cars they have on the road, see what kind of stats they get from those vehicles, and continue to make adjustments to not only the battery, but the engine and how it's pulling the juice from the battery under certain conditions. And this has allowed them to provide a boost for the Model 3. When I got my Model 3 a year and a half ago, roughly, there was a bit of a boost that was provided a few months after that point. And now, here again, another 5%. So, and I
Yep.
believe back in that time, it was a 5% previously as well.
I think so, yeah.
So here we are sitting with a car that's gotten 10% faster under about 15 months, 16 months. So that's quite impressive. And again, the power of the over-the-air update and Tesla continuing to see what their vehicles are doing, how they're reacting in the real world, crunch those numbers and make some changes.
Yeah, when they did the first uncorking on the Model S, my vehicle was just a few VINs too early, and it was not included, and that was sad, very sad day. But then the Model the Model X got several as well. Like they've unlocked my speed to, what was it, 160 something. I haven't been that high since they unlocked it, and so for race day at the Tesla Fest East, I was moving cars, moving house again, to a trailer, brought it up. It was the last one. Won't have to tow for that particular move ever again. But when Elon announced it at the shareholders conference call, he mentioned 5% Model 3, 3% Model S and X, and then I saw a bunch of articles that said increased range, but the way I interpreted it was that the increased range was that they were going to finally post the cars with what they actually got on the test. So the Model S got, was it 373 miles, and they pulled it back to 370. And the Model X, apparently the same 3%. So I don't know that the range boost that all these articles are talking about is actually included. But it could.
Right. Yeah, so it's, again, we're talking about some vehicles in the S and the X that are what, 3, yes, possibly 4 years old, and Tesla's still going back to the trough, updating and providing a more modest 3%. But hey, anything is better than nothing.
Anything for free, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So
2016 and a half and up, boom, you're good.
So Casey will be back on the track in no time, trying to break his own records with that extra 3% boost.
You know it. I got to get some tires first, though.
And with that top end, man, you're going to have to go move to like the Bonneville Soft Flats or something so you can take advantage of that full 163.
Yes, that'll be fun.
Yeah, fun till the car goes a little squirrely and then your counter steer, you steer back. There's a video of some guy in a Model 3 doing that at top end. It spins out. It's like, oh, talk about scaring yourself silly. The car goes into a skid when you're running a top end speed run on the Bonneville Salt Flats.
Yeah, one of our Charleston Club members had a blowout on the flats.
Yeah. Oh, that's even worse. Man, I would not want to be in that position. Sure. Not at all.
Especially in all these cars with no spare tire, no jack, nothing.
That's right. That's right. Do you carry any type of flat repair kit with you, Casey?
No.
Nothing. Okay. I carry a portable pump, like
I have
electronic
pump.
pump.
Yeah, I have an electric one and a battery one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you get some protection.
I don't know.
Not against the blowout, but
no, not against the blowout.
Yeah.
Like a small pusher.
Small leak, you can keep it pumped up on your way to get it fixed.
That's correct. And that's a good time to point out that Tesla does have loaner wheels and tires. So if you just call up roadside, generally they'll have one that they can loan you. It's not very pretty. It's got a big T or yeah.
They don't want you to keep it, right?
It's
it's not to look pretty. It's just to get you to the next stop.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as we're talking about that, if this is your first time watching the show, we would love for you to subscribe to the show by clicking the subscribe button, ring the bell. You'll get notifications when we go to air or when the show is premiered, as it will be tonight. And also, please give us a thumbs up. That gets us in front of more people and expands the user base. So please give us a thumbs up on the show as well. Would really appreciate that. Next story, we're going to talk a little bit about those Model Ys that we mentioned earlier. And we've got a photo here that we're going to share the screen on. And this is a Model Y that was caught in Bay City, Michigan. So this road tester, you can see the Tesla, I guess, car cover up near the top of the hood there with the T on it. Now, I want Tesla to recognize that the best way for them to be discovered at a supercharger is by covering the car with a car cover, because nobody at a Tesla supercharger covers the car. Nobody. So
not for something that short.
That is just the ideal sign for anyone to go, there's something up at that supercharger, because that car cover is covering a car. And what they should do is just leave the car as it is, and it would attract a lot less attention if they were to just leave it as is. But in this photo, you'll notice a couple of different things here. One of them is the certainly that big white grill at the bottom of the car. We've got well, first of all, it's white, so it stands out like a sore thumb.
I think it's 3D printed.
He could very well be. And then the other interesting thing is that the tow hook hole has been popped out, and you can see some white behind it. So not really sure as to why that is.
Well, all the Model 3s that they were testing, very few of them actually had the tow hook eye covered. So it might be related to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering with the Model Y using about 70% of the parts from a Model 3 is if that front bumper is exactly the same as a Model 3. Is that, or is it
think
slightly
so,
different?
because it's taller, yeah.
So if that's the case, then you could see that the tow hook eye is kind of, it almost looks misaligned, that the hole to put the tow hook thread in looks a little bit high in that hole. So not sure why. Other thing I do want to point out is that there has been some talk about the chrome delete not being on some of the cars and the car carriers. You can see from the mirror in this picture that the chrome delete is intact on this particular model. So
on those ones, I think it was literally just wrapping paper. Like, I don't know if they were practicing wrapping the cars or if whoever ships them for them wraps them partially.
Right.
But then you look at the Model 3 as it is, and they ship that thing naked. So, except the performance, that one comes in a bag.
So yeah, so again, not really sure, but just wanted to point that out, that this particular mule might even be a mule, as not really a production version, probably a hand-built one, had these type of modifications done to it. So
while we're talking about spottings, over in China, they have a pair of Model 3 long wheelbases that have been tested, and they went ahead and put the camo wrap on it, which yet again draws attention to the car.
If there's anything worse than a cover on a car, the camo wrap is probably the worst possible thing you could do to a car.
Because it was a regular Model 3, just a little bit longer. If they had left it in the regular paint colors, nobody would have it.
Nobody would have even looked at it.
That's right.
Yeah, but that's not the case. And let's Casey's going to talk a little bit about a vehicle, if they put in camo wrap, would really be a sore thumb. The Semi has some news again from the quarter earnings call.
Yes, so they've mentioned that in 2020, which is just next year, they're going to have limited production of the Tesla truck, the Tesla Semi. And I'm curious if that includes deliveries to outside customers or if these are all going to be Tesla use vehicles. But that'll be really fun because I think that'll help with the noise on the road. Even if they have to emit 80 decibels of noisemaker noise, it'll be still quieter than a diesel engine and all that air. And
yeah, that's an excellent point. Does a Semi require a louder noise than a sedan does?
I hope not. Derek, Tesla, it's a Tesla channel. Derek, Eric, and David, they measured their Model 3's noisemaker, and it was really loud. It was, I think they said 50 to 60 decibels when it was at its loudest point. And we a lot of us bought the EVs for the quietness, and this does the opposite.
Yep.
But these trucks are really cool.
Well, and the truck's got a, as we've heard before, they've got a bit of a whine, the electric motor whine as they rush by. So I'm wondering if that will be taken into account as part of the noisemaker, or again, it has to be something that can be heard at 18 miles an hour or slower. Yeah, so they may require the noisemaker regardless.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's if the noises that it makes, like you said, if they qualify, they might not need to do any further optimization to make it quieter, like they would typically have done in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that the reverse beeper will be their indicator that it's in reverse, like on a regular truck.
Yeah, the beep beep of a regular truck, compared to the spaceship noise of the current Tesla backup noise.
They'll probably testify it somehow because the beep beep is. Yeah. I like the European shusher where it's like a staticky sound, so you can tell exactly where to look.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So they say a limited production. They didn't say how many.
Two.
And they this is yeah, that's really limited, isn't it? But 2020 again could be the end of 2020, could be the middle. We don't know. But it'll be great to see some of those early reservation holders hopefully getting their hands on it, like Pepsi or JB Hunt or Walmart. Or up here, Loblaws and Walmart Canada were part of the early orders as well. So, and actually, one of those places is up where I live, and I'll be definitely watching that semi-yard to see if they show up, if it's indicated that they are coming. So, it'd be great to see.
I think 3 on New Year's Eve.
Still qualifies. Limited production 2020. Yep.
Yes.
Still qualifies. Next story is a little bit about people tracking EV sales in the United States. Recently, a report came out, and this one was publicized by IB Times. And they indicate that counting up all the different EVs that were sold in the United States during last month, that 75% of all sales, every EV was a Tesla vehicle. So 3/4 of every vehicle, all the vehicles sold were Teslas. Only that leaves only 25% for the entire rest of the manufacturers to cut up that 25%. So Tesla is really running away with the EV dollars. The amount that they're selling, again, we've heard this before. We've heard about these huge numbers, this large ramp, this hockey stick of sales. But this is another way to place it, that all the other manufacturers combined are only in for 1/4 of the EV sales in the United States. Yeah. And that probably holds true for other countries as well, but this study was strictly on the United States. So, wow, Tesla is definitely doing gangbusters in this particular market.
There was a reporter who pointed out after this statistic came out, he or she said that look at, say, the Bolt or some other EV, and the Model 3 alone, in 1 month, outsold a year's worth of those cars. So it might not have been the Bolt, but it was an impressive stat.
Yeah, it is absolutely impressive how they are actually dominating the market, and adding a Model Y to the mix might just accelerate it beyond 75%.
It definitely will, because Elon said during the shareholders briefing that it's going to make everything they've done today look like they were practicing, like they were warming up, like it was some kind of a game.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
And I mean, he's saying that the Model 3, the Model S, and the Model X, that amount of those 3 cars together will not be as much as what they believe the Model Y is going to sell.
And it's exactly where the market is moving to. They're going to compact SUVs, compact crossover SUVs. People want the height. They want the more luggage room. They want to be able to do a little bit of towing. And the Model Y is going to meet these needs for these families. And somehow will fit 7 people.
Yeah. I'm telling you, those 2 people in the back better be small.
I'm thinking that they might pull like they did with the Model S and Model X, where they move the seating position forward a little bit. And I still don't know. They've got to be children's seats. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, it does not look like those are, people places to put linebackers in the back of those seats. It just does not look that way.
Although somebody caught them recently, I think today, I saw it on I think Teslarati and Electric, that they have made the rear of the Model X seats thinner and added seat pockets. So if you move the seats forward and make them thinner, then on the Model 3 as it is, then they might be able to comfortably fit a small toddler back there.
Okay.
Probably more. I know they're going to find a way to do it. It's just that if they do nothing else and no special Japanese magic, like how the compact Japanese cars fit like 7 people in them,
You mean
then
like play a game of Tetris inside the car? Is that what you're?
no, it's not like Tetris. It's like for a while, like they had these really small Japanese cars, and you'd see like these really tall people not even have to unfold themselves and just get out of these cars like it's nothing. And if they can get some of that pixie dust, then it might be 7 adults. But I'm expecting
I don't know. I'm gonna say that it isn't 7 adults until
probably
I
not.
see it.
Yeah,
I don't. It just doesn't look like it's 7 adults to me. It looks like it's 5 adults and
two
a
small
couple
people.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to be wrong, but
We will
um,
see.
I'm
We
thinking at the
will see.
most it might be like a 5 or 6 year old, just whoever's just out of their booster seat once they hit that weight limit and still have short legs.
Another advancement that is about to come with a update, an OTA, is the long awaited for. I would love my Tesla to charge by a certain time before I leave in the morning.
That would have been perfect for me before I had
Well,
no daily charging.
it can still be perfect for you. It's just that it's a little bit late.
Yeah.
But this modification has been asked time and time again by many people that are operating by a clock or by operating by a certain electricity switch or peak time that happens where they need to leave the house by 5 a.m. or 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. and know that they would like the car to stop charging by that time so they can leave or take advantage of non-peak hours that end at a certain point during the night.
Also, if you have a season called winter, that actually gets
Yes.
cooler than the rest of the year. That way, the battery will be warmed up. You won't have the limited regen or any of the other nastiness that comes with
Right. You
having
won't
a frozen car.
you won't have to do what Casey and I have to do now, which is start the car 20 minutes before you go to warm her up. Get those
Yes,
batteries warmed up and the cabin heated up. So
yes.
if the car just stops charging when you're about to leave, the battery's already hot. It's ready to go. So just flip on the heat for maybe 5 minutes before you hop in the car, and you're good to go.
Yep. So what I ended up doing in the past was on my house I've got a 100 amp connection to the charger, which gives you 80 amps to charge with, and the Model X can take 72 amps, or at least my Model X can take 72 amps. I think that they may have lowered the size of the charger, which I think is insane. Uh, so it would take me from empty to full. It would take me 4 hours. And so I'd plug in at night, and the car would reach my 70 to 90%, whatever my set point was, before midnight. And in the morning, there'd be a frozen car there, and I had to deal with it. So what I took to doing at the end was I would let it sit 20% below where I wanted it to go. I think I set it to like 50% minimum every night, and then in the morning when I woke up, I would just slide it up to where I needed it for the day. And most days I had like one notch of the regen limited or none whatsoever, and that was a nice touch. And then they added the battery heater sometime last year, so that accelerated it. The heater was always there, but they added the ability to see that it was functioning. And I think even if it's cold enough, you can turn it on in the app. I don't recall it. It's been a year. It hasn't been that cold yet here.
Yep. And that's a great public service announcement to make is that people forget when we get into that cold weather that our regen disappears like that.
Yes,
So remember those cold mornings when you wake up and take your car out for a spin, that regen is probably not going to be there. So keep that in mind when you come to your first stop.
absolutely. Also, they added this year during one of the last two version 10 updates to the app, the phone app. They added the ability to set your defroster. Definitely the front, maybe the back, or the button might control both. Again, hasn't been cold enough for me to mess with it yet because I traded in a charger for a parking garage at this apartment here, and so I'm on like the middle level. It's got open sides, but it's enough that my windows haven't been foggy when I had to leave yet. So
Well, that's always a bonus when you
it is
get
a bonus.
some indoor or partial indoor parking
Yes,
over
still
getting the
cold, but
elements.
yes, it's never wet.
Nothing like getting down to your car and it's covered in snow and you got to
Ugh.
take 20 minutes to dig it out.
I might just need to get snow tires for my replacement set.
No.
It snows here, and some of
Uh,
them are affordable too.
yeah, I'll take my garage anytime. Let me tell you.
Yes,
That is a bonus when you've got a garage and keep the elements off the car.
absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Next story, I
Oh,
believe,
wait, before
was.
we go,
Go ahead.
uh, they also added in automatic navigation, which, so the way that I understand it is that you get in the car and you don't do anything. If you're at home, it takes you to work. If you're at work, it takes you home. Unless you have a calendar appointment set, then it'll take you to wherever you said you're going in the first place, which is exactly how Elon described all these years ago how full self-drive would work. You get in the car, if you forget to tell it to go somewhere, you find yourself at the other location. Or on the way to the other location
What
anyway.
a problem, right? You're that dopey that you didn't tell it where to go, and the car just goes automatically to where it thinks you want to go.
Right. Well, if you're that just zonked after work, then you probably needed to go home and take a nap.
That reminds me, I was trying the Get Lucky application
I
in
haven't
the
done that
car.
yet. How was it?
It was interesting. When I was on my cross country tour, of course, I've never been to a lot of these places, and I was letting the car pick some areas of interest.
Yes.
And it was coming up even in the small town of Shamrock, Texas, where I went to that cool 50s or I guess 30s gasoline station with Tesla chargers in the back. It was picking out some museums and some sights to see in the small town of Shamrock. So I was quite impressed that it was pulling up things that, yeah, I would be interested in going to take a look. And I did that at a couple of stops along the way. And although I didn't have time, during a charger stop to do something like that, it was interesting to see the different sites it brought up. Cadillac Ranch came up when I was in Amarillo, and it was, or after we were leaving it, I checked it and it showed up as one of the sites too. So very interesting. I've got to try it now that I'm home and see what kind of sites it's going to point out in my local town.
I think now that I don't have a pre-planned trek across the world for the weekend, I might actually do them this weekend.
That might be a cool video
Yeah.
to just let it pick 3 stops and check them out.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be an idea. You and I should both do that
Let's
separately
do
and
it.
see what
All
we
right.
come up with.
All
Yeah,
right. Next week.
sounds good. Next story. Locally here in Ontario, we had a meetup recently of a number of different Tesla drivers in our neck of the woods, and we decided that it was going to be a trip to Huntsville, Ontario, which is a couple of 100 kilometers away from my home base, and heading north towards, if you're familiar with the geography of Ontario, up near Algonquin Park, which is a large park in the center of Ontario, the province of Ontario. So I've got this little video I will see if I can display, and we'll fill up the screen. Are you seeing it, Casey?
Yeah, it's coming in smoothly.
Excellent. So we stopped at the small little charger, which doesn't see a lot of traffic. But as you can see, we had about 25 Teslas, almost all of them Model 3s. I believe we had one S and one X appear as well. But very cool. We had a great time, had some lunch, and we're back on the road shortly after that. So it was a fun time. Got to meet a number of other Tesla drivers that don't normally get to see, and we all had a great time.
There you go. That looks like what we did to that Toys R Us.
Just filled it up on them. Yeah.
Yeah, Tesla's like, there's 150 cars here. What's going on?
And I often wonder if Tesla's algorithm on their software is like always kind of watching for kind of weird events like this. Like, how come 150 cars are all heading towards this one destination right now at this particular point, and they're all intersecting at a certain supercharger? I could just that would be very interesting to watch their database as those type of things happen.
Surely, either the person whose job it is to like monitor, or the AI that's like machine learning. I wonder what it gathers from these.
Exactly.
It's gotta be impressive.
It's got to be interesting for sure. Next story comes from Germany, where VW CEO or Herbert Diess was recently in a scrum with the media talking about future plans. And of course, the subject of Tesla came up. And I guess a few of the reporters were commenting on how Tesla is just a small automaker. They're not really a danger. And what was surprising was that Herbert corrected them. He indicated that Tesla's annual production rate of almost 500,000 cars now, 400,000 cars, and the capacity of their vehicles is certainly higher than any other automaker, and that does not make them a niche player. It makes them a volume player.
Absolutely, it makes them they're bigger than some VW brands.
Correct.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Correct. So Herbert, again, it wasn't his idea. It was the reporters in the scrum that were voicing this. He was the one that corrected them and said, we are taking Tesla very seriously. They are not a niche automaker. In fact, they are an automaker of volume. And they need to be watched because they are a danger in our particular marketplace when it comes to VW.
Or an opportunity. I mean, like Elon likes to say, rising tide lifts all boats. But if your boat has a big hole in it when the water comes, it's not going to be good.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, you would be taking on water rather quickly with a big hole in the side of your boat.
Exactly.
But there are a number of automakers that are sitting with holes in their boats as we sit right now. But it sounds like VW is taking Tesla seriously, and hopefully, again, for the benefit of all EV drivers, they can respond in a positive manner and provide a vehicle that's going to propel them into the EV marketplace and be suitable competition. Because, of course, competitors help everybody, even help us Tesla owners, that Tesla strides even harder to make vehicles that are compelling for people to buy.
Yeah, because if there were no competition, then there's no incentive to do better.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the ultimate competition are the fossils. Every single car that's sold that's not an EV is killing us. So.
Absolutely. Last story of the evening goes to Casey about Top Gear.
Speaking of cars that are killing us. So Top Gear had the opportunity to take the Model 3 out on the track, and they were impressed. He started out by saying, "This is not the slow one." They had the opportunity to take the Model 3 performance out on the track. They decided to do what everyone does when they get a model anything, and they wanted to do a drag race. But they weren't the first ones to get a Model 3 to test because Top Gear and Tesla don't really have the best relationship in the past. So they shook it up a little bit by doing a half-mile drag race instead of a quarter mile or an eighth mile. And it came to be a little bit of a photo finish, if you will.
Absolutely. So they took it out, and just showing a little bit of it here. We won't show much of it because of the copyright. Right. But they were zipping around the track with some others as well, right? It wasn't just themselves.
Yes. So they're racing the other cars, like a BMW and a Mercedes. But then they decided to do another type of test because, the drag test king is the Model S, Model 3, Model X, and both old and new roadsters. So how about we shake it up, because Teslas aren't known for being able to handle a road course, right? So they put it on the road course and were pleasantly surprised. But I noticed that the way the car moved, it kind of had this like shimmy and wiggle, like the traction control was fighting the car. It did not appear that they had turned on track mode.
So, and they didn't mention it in the video, did they?
Yeah, they didn't call it out either. Yeah. So
yeah. So we're wondering if track mode was even used. And if it wasn't, then of course they were missing out on some extra boost and some extra control in those corners.
For the road course, yes.
Yeah.
For the drag race, you don't really want track mode on the Model 3. You just want to launch it. You do want ludicrous mode on for a drag race on the Model S and the Model X, but you want it off for the slalom course. So the two cars are opposite when you want their performance mode turned on.
Right. So what was cool, though, was that the quote that came from it, or one of the quotes, which was the Model 3 is like an AK-47 disguised as a butter knife. Is
Yeah, I did
is
like
what the quote was. So they were quite impressed with its sleeper stance.
Yes.
That it looked pretty mild mannered, but when you got it on both of those courses, it really shone.
Yes, and some folks were pointing out that they were analyzing the frame by frames of the launch on the drag race, and they thought that they saw some dashes. So either it was too hot or it couldn't regen. So um, they feel that they could have done better. But Top Gear didn't seem to be disappointed by the performance at all. I mean, to get within a couple wheel well lengths of the first place car to the point where they had to do the photo finish and it came in quite blurry. That was impressive for a car that
Yep.
was only known for doing eighth mile and quarter miles. So,
Exactly. Or another memorable quote from the article was the traffic light king.
yeah, the traffic light king, and he said
So
that
you go
uh,
light to light, and nothing can beat it.
exactly. He said if this were real world and not on a track, by the time you caught him to do that half mile, the Model 3 would be out of sight somewhere
Yeah,
else entirely.
you wouldn't know where the Model 3 was, is
Yeah,
what he said. It'd be gone.
they didn't catch him till over 150 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
by the time you're doing those speeds, if it was on the traffic lights, you would both be in jail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, if you wish, do a Google search on Top Gear Model 3 and take a watch of the video. Kind of interesting to see that a petro head, as they say, quite impressed, and actually saying, you know what? The petrol car days are coming to a close. We've got electrics that are overtaking them fast, and this was certainly what they called a turning point in the history of cars.
And we see,
So great to see.
yeah, we see more people tuning their own EVs, either off the shelf and just cranking on them, or taking wrecked ones and building new cars out of them. It's very much like it used to be when the first gen batch of modern EVs came out before GM and Toyota let them die or killed them outright, depending on your stance. And and I think now we've got the technology, the prices are coming down, and it's a great time to just
Yep.
see
Great time
sit here
to
and watch the
be
industry.
involved with EVs. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up. If you haven't already, please click on that subscribe button. Give us another number. Give us a thumbs up for a like. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to get notified when this and other videos premiere, ring that bell and it'll send you a notification every time we put up a new video and help you out. There's no charge. Just love you to help us out here, and we would appreciate it very much.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Casey, any shout outs?
I sure do. I've
Okay.
got this quick teaser here.
Approaching the Huntsville, New Jersey supercharger. Attention, 150 kilowatts.
Wow.
Oh, I can't.
What was that? What was the covered up swear word?
I was actually really sleepy. I didn't cuss. I just said, "Oh, that can't be good," and it wasn't. It was a glass bottle at the apparently it's pronounced Kearney, New Jersey, supercharger. And I think if they want you to pronounce it that way, they should spell it that way. Just say.
So that was one of your recent uploads?
Yeah, that was when I did the New York trip. So you guys saw me with that big porthole window behind me.
Yep.
That was on the way back from that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you can catch Casey at Casey Green on YouTube and check out some of his videos, recently uploaded videos.
I think I got about 5 recent ones, and I'm up to 112 total public videos.
Very good. Very good. And we'll have to do that points of interest video and see how that works out. So
that'll be a fun collab.
So watch for that as well. And Casey and I will have competing videos to see how it goes.
All right.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us this evening. We will see you again next week. Have yourselves a great week. And here's the end credits. Again, thank you, Lee Moon. Thanks to everybody. Enjoy the week, people. We'll see you next time.